Welcome, everybody, to the Mace Machine Horse Show. I am your host, David Mace, and I'm back with another episode. And this episode is going to be called 31 on 31. And what I'm doing here is I'm ranking all of the Friday the 13th movie series, all of the Halloween movie series, and all of the Nightmare on Elm Street movie series, all combined into one. As much as I would love to take credit for this concept, I cannot. This concept is completely 100% dedicated to the creators of the 31 on 31, which is Cody Leach, he gave me his blessing to create this video. I wanted to ask him first because I did not want to disrespect what they paved the way for people like me to create a video like this concept. Brian Lomax, CP, Lindsay, people know her as Mother Mayhem, Chandler, who came to the group later, and also one of the originals, Lee, who has his own page also from Drums. So this is all dedicated to you guys. You guys created this concept back in October of 2018, and it's like the perfect combination. Usually in the month of October, since this page is in late November, I'm a little late to the party, but I've been a big fan. I've watched your guys' episodes the last few years. I always do my own personal rankings. I love doing rankings, and that's why I had a lot of people talk to me and want to create the concept like this. So this is for you guys. So many of you probably don't know this is my second episode. The Halloween series and the Friday 13th series are by far my two favorite horror series of all time. I'm very passionate about those two series. Nightmare, I enjoy. Some of the entries are my favorite. A lot, with these rankings, everybody has their own opinions, so it's not about bashing me if I have one rank lower than one that you enjoy. This is my own personal list. I've watched all these movies many times. My very first VHS movie I ever purchased was in 1992. I purchased Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives. That was my very first one. My first entries that I saw in the theater of all three series. My first Friday 13th I saw in the theater was actually Jason Goes to Hell. That was the first one I saw in the theater in that series. In the Halloween series, my first one I saw was Halloween Part 6, The Curse of Michael Myers. And also that movie reminds me of, I remember getting out of the theater and being a diehard Cleveland Browns fan in football. I remember leaving the theater and then hearing that Art Modell has now moved the team to Baltimore, and I was completely crushed. So that movie always comes neck and neck of a reminder of the Browns moving. My first Freddy movie I saw in theater was, I want to say Freddy versus Jason. That was the only one I think I saw with Freddy in that entry. So enough about that. Let's get right to the list. Number 31 on this list is Jason X. That one has some cool kills in it. I look at that movie as a sci-fi movie, original. Not a big fan of Jason in space. I definitely appreciate the concept of them bringing Jason to space. Me personally, I wasn't a big fan of that. A lot of the characters I just wasn't interested in. I appreciate the sleeping bag montage at the end, kind of the callback from Part 7. I do like Kane Hodder a lot, but a lot of the entries that he's in are tough. It's one of the later sequels. You're always trying to come up with new concepts. I'm a big fan of Jason at Camp because that's really what he's about. And I do appreciate them trying to do other things with him, but I have a hard time with that one. I watch it with all of them, no matter what, when I do my marathons every year. But Jason X is my bottom out of all three series in my rankings. On to number 30, and it is Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare, Part 6. I mean, what can you say about this one? It's very comedic. It is very Looney Tune-ish, especially like with Freddy putting the spikes on the road. There was a few good things, like towards the end, like with his daughter basically killing him at the end was kind of a coming full circle there. But I mean, a couple fun characters, but it was too goofy. A couple of my favorite entries in this rankings list are there is some goofiness to them, so maybe it wouldn't make sense, but certain ones, I don't know. I have a hard time watching this one. So that's number 30. Ranking number 29 is going to be A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5, The Dream Child. This one had some good kills also. The motorcycle kill is classic. I really enjoy Alice's character a lot. I like the concept of like her baby having the nightmares, and that's how Freddy came back. I like how the Amanda Kruger character gets more, focused around that character. I wasn't a big fan of her friend, the girl that worked at the pool who was from People Under the Stairs. She just wouldn't believe her at all, and I just wasn't a big fan of her. I don't the kid character. Some child actors I'm a big fan of. I wasn't a big fan of this child actor in this movie. Some of the lines, like I don't know, when he's talking to Freddy, mocking him, was just kind of ridiculous. So, not a big fan of that entry. You will notice probably a lot of the nightmares are probably ranked a little bit lower, but there's a couple nightmares that I really enjoy, but this is not one of them. So, ranking number 28 is my lowest ranking on the Halloween series, and that is Halloween 8, Halloween Resurrection. What could I say? This movie seemed a little bit ahead of its time with all the technology. It hasn't aged very well. The Busta Rhymes character was just ridiculous. I think one of the scenes that drove me the most nuts in this entry was the part where Busta Rhymes was dressed up as Michael Myers, and Michael Myers was actually right behind him. And then he turns around like, oh, Michael, thinking he's his friend Charlie, the cameraman that Michael killed earlier, like, you scared the shit out of me, blah, blah, blah. And he starts mocking Michael and tells him to go away, and Michael goes away. Come on, that's not Michael's character. That completely turned me off. The Laurie, like they take away a lot of the beheading. I don't know how that's possible when you look at the end of H2O, like the character, if it was the security guard or the cop that Michael switched bodies with. I mean, when he's in the body bag and he's coming out, like when she hits him, he is attached to the van, and then when she crashes the van and it hits the tree, if that guy was just a normal guy, he would have been completely toast. I guess it's just continuing the series. It makes money, so you got to make another entry. But a couple of the characters are kind of funny. I like the kids that were trying to help her out with the Deckard character. They were dressed up like Pulp Fiction characters, which was kind of funny. One of the characters in there kind of remind me of Booger from Revenge of the Nerds, the guy that was trying to hook up with the nerdy girl who was in the band. I don't know. He kind of remind me of Curtis Armstrong from Revenge of the Nerds for some reason. But yeah, that's it for Resurrection. 27 is Halloween 2, the Rob Zombie version. I appreciate what Rob was trying to do in this movie. He made his own movie. He kind of made his homage to the original John Carpenter in his first entry. But in the second one, I think what I have the problem with that one is Michael not wearing a mask in most of that movie. Of course, everybody talks about the white horse. That's ridiculous. I can't stand the friends of Laurie's character, the girl that's dressed up like the Rocky Horror Show character. She's like, "What up, Dick Lickers?" She's just none of her lines are funny at all. She's very annoying. She could be just as annoying almost as Tina's character in Part 5. I think it kind of rivals there. It is kind of a funny moment where she hooks up with a kid who's dressed up as like Michael J. Fox's character from Teen Wolf. It kind of reminds me of it. That part's kind of funny. And they have that band playing like the Transylvania Terror Train. I have a lot of fun with that part. Loomis being just arrogant, but I did find the very comedic, the scene where he's on the Chris Evans show, or I can't remember his name, the guy from MTV, his show, and he's with Weird Al on there, and they're like talking about Michael Myers, and Weird Al's all, "You mean the Mike Myers from Austin Powers?" And I thought it was hilarious, and Weird Al kind of clowning him, but I don't know. Very good kills. They tried hard, but it just didn't work. I think Sheriff Brackett was probably my favorite character. I like how they show though talk about what happens after you go through these tragic events where Laurie's just completely insane. Um, when Daniel Harris's character Annie passes away, Brad Dourif does an amazing job. Everybody talks about that performance of the loss of his daughter, and everybody's right on the money on that. I mean, he plays that to a T there. So yeah, that's number 27. 26 is A Nightmare on Elm Street, the remake. I mean, Jackie Haley tries his best portrayal of Freddy Krueger. Characters are all right, some of them. Like Cassidy's character plays Tina. She does a really good job. I don't like the boyfriend at all. Cody Leach is right on the money when he talks about how he looks like he's about to cry in every scene, and they make Freddy a pedophile. That's like they make some good points when they talk about you almost want to make Freddy almost like a sympathetic character, and then they go back to making sure he's dark and evil. I mean, they tried. It's really different. To fill those Robert Englund shoes is almost impossible to do, but it's hard to watch. I don't watch it very often, so that's number 26. 25 is a movie that I really enjoyed when I saw it. Some of the characters, it's Freddy versus Jason. 25. As a Freddy movie, I seem to really enjoy it, but as a Jason movie, I have a really hard time with that. Jason's looks very generic, like as if he got his costume at like Spencer's Gifts or something. Ken Kienzinger or whatever, the guy who played a small role in Jason Takes Manhattan. He was like the cook who Jason picks up and throws him against the mirror when he's in New York. I like him in other roles. Like he played in Joyride 3 and some other stuff that he's done. And I think one of the Wrong Turn movies maybe, but did a good job there. I mean, that was Kane Hodder. Everybody wanted Kane Hodder. The director's fault there. I mean, even Sean S. Cunningham, I think, even threw Kane under the bus there of saying like he didn't want him back. Like he says he did, but it didn't seem like he did. And they wanted the taller character, but I don't know. Kane should have been Kane versus Robert Englund. So that's my big problem. I don't mind some of the main characters. I like how they bring the Hypnosil back, kind of like from Nightmare 3. They did the best they could. I mean, I like gore. I just think the gore at the end when Jason and Freddy are fighting, the blood looks almost like gasoline almost. It looks horrible. Like it's cool that they fight. And I don't know. It could have been better, but I'm glad we got that movie. But the more views I watch it, the more I dislike it. Up to number 24, and it's Friday the 13th Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. I mean, we can all call it Jason Takes a Boat, Jason Goes to Vancouver, whatever. I grew up mainly with the first 8 Fridays. It's tough when I like the direction that they try to do something different. They, again, just like with Jason X and Jason Goes to Hell, they try to take it out of Camp Crystal Lake as much as possible. And they haven't much on. I don't mind the boat part of the movie. I actually enjoy that part way more than even when they go to Manhattan. I like Julius's character a lot. Mr. McCulloch's character, he looks like Skip Bayless, which is hilarious. He's such a dickhead in that movie. Jason's as a boy having hair doesn't fit because even in the original they have him bald all the way through. Even though I know in Part 2 they have him have some hair in that one. Some of the main characters, I mean, Rennie's character's fine. There's a part where Jason kills the drug addicts, which is cool. It's almost where Jason's a good guy there. Julius getting his head knocked off on the roof is always cool. I was always confused at the end of that one where, he gets thrown with the toxic waste and somehow he becomes a little boy. There's a lot of faults there. I know the director's intention, the guy who did the Friday the 13th series, Rob Heder, I believe his name is. He had all these plans of what he wanted to do, but the budget, they had to cut it short. So, I mean, for what he had, he did the best he can, but still the final product hurt because of that. He didn't really get exactly the vision he wanted. So, and that kind of ties into my number 23, which is another one where I was a huge fan of when I was younger, but it's Friday 13th Part 7, A New Blood, Jason versus Carrie. I love the Lar Park Lincoln character. Um, they got raped. That movie got raped. Everybody talks about it. Carl Buechler talks about it. They took out every death scene. If we would have got the uncut version of that movie, if somehow that was ever made, that movie would be a lot higher up in my rankings. Kind of is a little bit like when we get into the Halloween series when it comes to the masks. If some of the masks were different looking, some of those entries could have been higher as well when we get to the Halloween series. But A New Blood, the cast is so unmemorable. Most of those characters, nobody really gives a care about them. I like Tina. I like Tina's mom. I mean, the Nick character, he's all right. Melissa character is very memorable because she goes over the top of being a bitch. Dr. Cruz, Bernie from Weekend at Bernie's, he does a great job being a dickhead there. We kind of got robbed with not getting the proper death that he should have had. But yeah, it was probably in my top 3 when I was at a young age, but it went way down just over time. It didn't age very well. It was filmed in Alabama. Apparently there's a lot of alligators there. There's an alligator hunter there. I mean, we can go on and on. There's so much material online about the Friday 13th series, so I don't want to go too much more into that. Yeah, so number 22 is going to be Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers. Again, I saw this in the theater. It's just this movie was all over the place. You got the producer's cut. You got the theatrical cut. I remember being so excited and about getting the producer's cut for the first time, or buying a bootleg DVD on eBay. It's just the music was so off when watching that. I thought the music played a lot better in the theatrical cut. Hate the idea of Michael impregnating Jamie. I mean, that's just ridiculous. And it's like Michael being in the asylum, like as if he's like they're protected. Like Michael should not be on a team with like anybody. And 5 kind of really fucked it up. I was so excited for this one to come out when it did, because we waited, I believe it was 6-7 years after 5 came out. But I was just so curious, like, who is this man in black? It like drove me nuts, thinking like, who could this be? What are they going to come up with on this concept? I guess on who they came up with at the end made sense, because they had to have somebody. And Dr. Wynn was a really small character from part 1 that they didn't explore at all, and I don't think it was really intended, but they had to find something to make that make sense. And Paul Rudd, I thought he did fine in that character, in that movie. I'm glad they brought Tommy Doyle character back. I'm excited to see what the Tommy Doyle character brings in the next Halloween movie that comes out next year. Michael's the mask looks great in this one. George Wilbur comes back from part 4. The asshole dad, and I think the mom was from Teen Wolf 2. She was like Professor Brooks in that one. Yeah, I know. I mean, I like how they have the Barry from the TV, or from the radio show. He shows up and he's all dressed in black, and he's almost like a flasher. Like they try to play it off almost like as if he's the man in black, and then they make it a big joke. But it is kind of, part of that movie, they make it a little bit like the original, in a way to where everything's going on across the street, and she has to go across the street because she sees her boyfriend's girlfriend getting murdered, which is her friend as well. And so she has to go follow her son over there. So there was some good chase scenes there, but it was just, it could have been better. It was one I would rank higher also before, but each viewing it gets rough. Because it is rough, that's why it is lower. I don't hate this movie. It's just, I don't know, there's ones I like a lot better. So on to 21. Another one I saw in the theater, Loved it when it first came out. The end, I was like, holy shit. And that is Halloween H2O. I love the idea that they brought Laurie back. They tried to have a fresh take on it. It's just too much, like you say, like a lot of people say, it's a lot like Scream. It's right in that the '90s horror movies. It was a rough decade. Not a lot of great horror movies in the '90s. There's some that I really enjoy. This one, Michael's mask was horrible. They had so many different masks. You could see his eyes in there. I like how they bring Marion's the nurse back from part 1 and 2. That was cool, at least. Michael not killing LL Cool J's character made no sense to me. Seemed like when he walked right by, he would have killed him. But he's a star, so they had to keep him around. It was cool how they brought Jamie Lee Curtis's mother in there, and she was driving the psycho car. That was a cool homage there. Yeah, Josh Hartnett's character was fine. I don't know how that Charlie kid ended up with that girl. He seemed to be totally outclassed by her. And the beheading at the end, I was like, holy shit, they're about to kill my horror icon that I love. I'm a big Myers fan, so I was like, whoa. But each viewing, it's tough to watch that movie. I don't know enough about that one. Number 20 may come to a shocker to a lot of people. I know it ranks lower in a lot of other people's rankings, but I have a little bit of a sentimental value for this one as well. It was my very first Friday I watched in the theater, and it is Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday. And I'm talking about the unrated version of that one. If you watch the unrated version, all right, so hear me out before you bash me here. If you look at, I know it's basically a ripoff of The Hidden. I'm a huge fan of The Hidden 1 and 2. But Adam Marcus is actually a friend of mine as well on Facebook. I applaud what he tried to do. If you look at this movie as alone, like almost like if you look at Halloween 3 in this way, because it's became a cult classic over the years, and even Friday 5, how they have Roy in there. If you look at it just like that and not as a Friday 13th movie and just a horror movie, it's a good horror movie. There's a lot of great kills. I know in Jason X, a lot of people's favorite kill is when he dips the girl's hair and all that, or her head in that, smashes her face. My favorite kill is actually in the tent scene where the couple is having sex in there, and the character Jason's portraying at that time drives the stake through here and lifts it up, and it shows the visual of her whole body ripped in half. Is my favorite kill in the whole franchise. I think that's a very underrated kill. And a lot of people say, oh, it's not Jason because it's somebody else in his body. Well, it's portraying as Jason. He has his powers. That is actually my favorite Jason look in that movie too, as well. And that maybe be a very unpopular decision because a lot of people love his look in 7. 7's great, his look, but I like Jason Goes to Hell probably because you don't get to see that look very often in that movie because they take him out. Another scene I like is when he kills the waitress in the diner where she says, I go to hell, and he squeezes her head after he puts the stake through her and then her brain basically pops out the end. That's a great kill as well. I love the Creighton Duke character. I know Adam Marcus is also a huge fan of that character as well. I like the whole beginning scene, which is like, holy crap, they just blew him up. What are they going to do with this? I like the fact that Jason kills Kane Hodder's character as the security guard. I like the whole the Robert story on the news where it talks about he was born through Elias and Pamela Voorhees. They talk about all of his kills, which is kind of cool. You also get the Voorhees house. That's a cool thing. You get the Evil Dead book in there. You get the crate from Creepshow in there as well. I like the fight scene at the end with Steven and Jason. It's cool at the end. I remember before I saw that movie in the theater, they showed a scene of that on MTV back in the day, and it showed that whole fight scene, which was pretty cool. Mixed feelings about Jason having a sister and only a Voorhees person could kill him. I kind of like Adam Marcus's idea of Jason being a Deadite as well. why he keeps coming back. Freddy's glove at the end is really cool as well. But yeah, I don't think it's as bad as a lot of people give it slack for. Um, yeah, it would have been nice to have Jason was his character like in costume was more part of that movie. But I understand both ends, but I don't know. I don't think it's that bad. So, number 19 is a Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4, The Dream Master. This is another one I really enjoyed too. When I first saw it, everybody refers it to the MTV version. It is kind of you get kind of screwed over there with all the characters from Dream Warriors getting killed basically in the first 10, 15 minutes. He kills my favorite character in the whole series, Kincaid, right off the bat in the junkyard. That is a cool scene. The karate scene's pretty funny with Alice's brother. Tuesday Night has a great song in the intro there. Some decent stuff, some good visuals, like when he kills the little nerdy girl with the inhaler, like sucks her breath out, and that's a cool visual. The pizza scene's always kind of cool, the meatballs. But I like Alice's character. I think part of me it holds it down is how it just eliminates the characters almost immediately from the last one, and how they weren't able to bring Patricia Arquette back as well. But yeah, it just kind of went down over the years. Number 18 is A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, Freddy's Revenge. I remember when I very first saw this movie at a young age, I hated it. I was like, what is going on here? Like, I want to see Tina's character, everything that happened from the original. They go in a completely different direction. Freddy's real dark, I think, is really cool. A couple of the characters is cool. There's times at the end where I felt like I got kind of bored when like Lisa's trying to save Jesse. I like his buddy, his friend's pretty cool. He was in Sometimes They Come Back. That's a great Stephen King movie there. I know they have the PE teacher. That's just funny. He goes to the gay bar. I'll tell you what, though, I am a huge fan of that song that's playing in the background. I think it's called Tear in Your Heart by the Reds. I tried to find that original version of that song. It's almost impossible to find, but I did find like a little bit of a altered version of that song, and I bought that CD years ago of the Reds, and just because over that movie, I like music from movies. I think it's really cool. I like how Clue, the dad, he's a real jerk in the movie. Clue Gallagher, I can't remember his last name, but he's in a lot of movies. Another one of my favorite movies he plays in is Hunter's Blood. Very underrated 80s movie there. I don't know. Jesse's character, he's all right. I know that they're playing the homoerotic character, and it's definitely a debate whether Jesse was bisexual or if he was gay or if he wasn't gay, but I don't know. It's number 16 or number 18 for me. Number 17 is Halloween Part 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. So I grew up mainly with the first 5 Halloween movies. So there is some prestige there for me. You talk about, again, just like on Dream Master, how they killed off the characters right away. They kill Rachel right off the bat. Rachel is one of the most beloved characters in the whole series. I mean, she does an amazing job at 4, and to just offer that quick is, it sucks, because then of course we get the Tina character, and everybody knows how everybody feels about that character. But we do get Samantha. Big fan of Samantha, Tamara. I am friends with her on Facebook as well, and I love her character in that movie. She's a great young actress and really neat lady there. The boyfriend of Tina's, he looks like the Fonz. He's a goofy character. He's like, nobody touches car. You got the Spitz character. He was in a Child's Play 3. He was like, the guy's like, this is my rifle, this is my gun, this is for shooting, this is for fun character. Major Rollins, I don't know, I can't remember his character's name, but I don't know. I was a huge fan of that Child's Play entry. The Man in Black, you get introduced to that. It just throws everything off. I mean, I guess I like they didn't know what they were doing. I think they talked about Jamie being the villain in the next one, but I think Mustafa Akkad was really against that. I know Donald Pleasance was kind of interested in her continuing the role. I know Daniel Harris was hoping to be the villain, or maybe her teaming up with Michael, but it's kind of weird how he's in that homeless guy's shack or whatever. I don't know, his hermit guy, but what was he doing with Michael for a whole year? I don't know. That was weird. And then Michael just kills him because that's just what Michael does. The mute kid was really annoying. Jamie not being able to talk for most of the movie was kind of annoying. I do kind of like how she sensed him, though. I thought that was kind of cool. I like the whole sequence, like at the Tower Farm. The Halloween party was really cool. The atmosphere there, everybody in the barn. That was kind of cool. I like how Jason used the little Children of the Corn weapon there to kill Samantha's character there. The ending was really weird. Loomis was definitely creepy in that one, where they arrest Michael. Michael's wearing his mask in the jail cell. That was pretty hilarious. And then they have the guy in Man in Black coming at the end and looks almost like a Dick Tracy character, Shadow, while he's shooting everybody with like a Tommy gun. And I'll tell you what though, I'll mention it now instead of when I go into Halloween 4, but I am a huge fan of Sheriff Meeker. I like that character. I think he's my favorite sheriff in the whole Halloween franchise, even more than Sheriff Brackett characters. I don't know. I like how he's just kind of a hard ass, and he kind of respects Loomis a little bit. He listens to him when they talk about Michael being back, and yeah, I don't know. At the very end, I think he gets shot by the Man in Black. I don't know. I know they show all the bodies laying on the floor. I think he's one of the last ones that they show, but I thought it was kind of weird. I wasn't a big fan when he got offed at the end, but yeah. So that's my number 17. So number 16, this one also kind of rose over years, and it's Friday 13th Part 5, A New Beginning. Again, if you look at it just as just don't think of it as Jason not being in the movie. I mean, it basically is a Friday 13th movie. It's a mass killer killing. It's really good. A lot of good kills, lots of kills. And of course, we get Deborah Voorhees in there. I'm a friend with her as well on Facebook. Her character, I was always a big fan of. Very attractive woman. I like Reggie the Reckless. I like his brother Demon. I like the ooh baby. That's always a fun scene. The damn enchiladas. We get the little cameo from Corey Feldman in the beginning. Friends with a couple people. Who's the guy with the perverted guy who's dating Lana? Billy. I'm friends with him on Facebook. His character is really funny in that movie. You got Ethel and her son. They're funny in that movie. A lot of good characters in that movie. Pam, also big. I'm friends with her on Facebook as well. That movie's grown on me over time. Tommy's a badass in that one. The ending, though, is kind of weird. That they think of him maybe as the villain, kind of like how they do at the end of 4, and then Tom Matthews takes over him as 6, and it's completely different. So, I don't know. That was kind of a weird ending there. But yeah, that's about it on number 5. Number 15 might be an unpopular decision. I know it will be by Cody Leach because I know it's his very favorite. But I saw this one at the drive. Actually, when I brought it back, seeing movies at the theater, my first Freddy movie I saw was number 15, and that is The Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, Dream Warriors. I saw it in the drive-in at a young age. I saw that, and I saw Witchboard, the original back-to-back, and I loved it as a kid. I love it now up until when they all gang up at the end against Freddy. I think that's what ruined that one for me. Again, I went and talked about it in Dream Master. I love the Kincaid character. I love that they bring Nancy back. I think part of me is upset that they killed her at the end. They killed John Saxton's character at the end as well. I love, though, the battle in the junkyard when they're burying his bones. I like that concept of killing him. I thought that was cool. When Freddy's character all in bones kind of reminds you of like a Jason and the Argonauts type scene. I like The wizard character was really annoying to me. That really threw me off. I like one of my favorite kills in the Nightmare series, though, is where basically he is. Shoot, I'm trying to think like a puppet character when he makes the one kid a puppet. That's always a cool scare there. Welcome to Primetime Bitch. That was always a cool scene. There's a lot of things I like. It's just I like the character Craig Wasson from Body Double. He does a good job in that movie as well. A lot of things I like about that movie. It's just, I don't know, the end kind of blows it for me. That's all. Number 14 is my second favorite Nightmare movie, and that's Wes Craven's New Nightmare. I like the take that they take on that. Like I said, I kind of bash a lot of the 90s movies, but this was a 90s one. I didn't mind that well. I like how they use the real characters' names in that. Freddy looks really creepy. I love his glove. They kind of upgrade his glove there. I thought was really cool. I thought Heather Langenkamp looked very more attractive in that one than she did in the earlier entries. I like the idea of her son, having nightmares over that. It was cool. There's not a lot I can say about it, but I enjoyed that entry. Number 13. This might surprise some people that it's this high as well. And that's Halloween Rob Zombie's version. I have mixed feelings about, the backstory. Because it's cool to see it. Like the thought of it, kind of like I've seen like Jason as a kid, but it's like, I don't know, it kind of takes away a lot of the mystique. I know Rob with his characters, he makes them very vulgar. They're very they cut, just cussing nonstop, trashing everybody, trailer park trash type characters. Loomis, I thought, did a pretty good job. I wasn't a big fan though of the kid who played Michael. And then they have the Asylum. I know Sybil Danning plays a role in that. I'm a huge fan of her as well, all of her work that she does. I always loved her in The Howling Part 2, but she plays a small role where Michael stabs her in the neck with the fork. And of course, for me, the best part is, where they go back to the original, towards the last part of the movie. I actually, before that, I did like the Joe Grizzly part. You got the character from Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, and then from Dawn of the Dead character. But yeah, that part's funny where he's in the stall and Michael kills him. I don't like how he kills a Danny Trejo character, but I understand. Michael he's not supposed to be sympathetic. And I love how they brought Danielle Harris back. She kind of got cheated in 6, and it's cool they brought her back as Annie. Brad Dourif again, I went on before. He did a great job. I think, though, towards the end, it kind of dragged on when Michael's trying to hunt down Laurie in the house at the end, where he's, taking out the walls with the 2x4. It seems to just go on and on and on and on. But when I first saw it, I really enjoyed it. But, over time, it kind of wears off. There's other ones I like more. So that's my number 13. Number 12 is Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. This one, as a kid, hated it. Hated it, because it didn't have Michael in it. I didn't understand at that age why. And the London Bridges song, 8 More Days Till Halloween. But over time, I loved it. I absolutely love Dr. Chalice's character. Tom Atkins is probably one of the most underrated 80s horror movie characters. I love every role he plays. He just seems like the ladies' man. I like the part where he has all these excuses to his ex-wife, or he has a 6-pack of beer. He's like, sorry, I can't take the kids out trick-or-treating. He runs off with some young girl. I just thought that was hilarious. Very attractive girl, the Stacy character. And she's like, where do you want me to sleep, Dr. Chalice? That's a dumb question, Miss Grimmage. But if, again, you think of it as just a movie on its own, we all probably agree it should be just called Season of the Witch. It very much looks like a John Carpenter movie. Tommy Lee Wallace made it look a lot like that because, I mean, he worked a lot with him on a lot of his films. Um, Many of you probably don't know, but John Carpenter is my favorite all-time director. Huge fan of him. I love most of his stuff, especially everything he did in the late 70s and throughout the 80s. Some of my favorite movies of all time. But yeah, the idea of some guy just wanting to kill every kid. Really good death scene where Mrs. Guttridge, I think is her name, where her face gets all exploded by one of the shamrocks. And I don't know, great concept. Just shouldn't have been called Halloween, but yeah, I really enjoy that movie. Excuse me. Number 11, these 11 to number 1, I adore all the rest of what are here. So much nostalgia on all of them except for 2 because they were newer, but the other 9 are all classics to me. And number 11 is going to be Friday 13th Part 3 in 3D. Not much wrong with this movie. Of course, the 3D, I do have the 3D glasses. It's hard to see. I mean, you could see a lot of it actually when you're watching it with the snake popping out and the yo-yo and the apples and everything, the eye popping out. Has some of my favorite kills in it though. The harpoon to the girl's eye his very first kill when he gets the mask. I love that kill. I love the kill when the guy's doing the handstand, Andy, and he cuts him in half. I like the visual where his girlfriend sees him above and then Jason kills her. Jason, of course, he gets the iconic mask. Richard Brooker does an amazing job portraying Jason. There's a lot of action in the barn. It feels like Shelley's a fun character. I always wish he would have got a shot with Vera. At least a little bit of action there. Yeah, I like Chris's character. It is very confusing. Her flashback with Jason and what happened there. One of the funny things is her boyfriend Rick. It looks like he's wearing a Mrs. Voorhees sweater in that movie, and I always used to laugh about that. That's like my favorite popcorn movie. I always have to make popcorn when I watch that because of the 2 stoners making popcorn in that movie. So that always reminds me of that. So me and some of my childhood friends, my friend Jason Kranz, we always watch the Friday the 13th movies every year. So yeah, and number 10 is the original Friday the 13th. So with this movie, it when I first saw it, it was I found out it was Mrs. Voorhees. I wasn't a big fan of it. Over time, I loved this movie over time, and then just recently, it kind of went down in my rankings a little bit. It was my 3rd favorite Friday the 13th movie, and now it went down to my 1, 2, 3 to my 5th favorite. But I mean, my top 6 in here, I love them to a T. I mean, and everybody talks about like at the end how Mrs. Voorhees is only shown the last 15 minutes. That is not true. If you own the Blu-ray version, I have a picture where I paused it and took a picture of it, and you can see Mrs. Voorhees when Nettie is playing the prank or not the prank, but he's walking away from Kevin Bacon's character and his girlfriend, and he's going into that cabin. He's like, "Hello, can I help you?" And there's a character, you see it for a second, almost kind of looks like it's Crazy Ralph, but if you pause it, you can see Pamela Voorhees' face right there, dressed in black with a hood on. So she is in the movie. You just would never be able to tell in the VHS version, or probably not in the DVD version. But if you pause it there, you can see it. So I challenge everybody to attempt that and try that. So, I like the idea, of her getting revenge on the kids, not watching her son, and her son drowns. He's a very sympathetic character, so I see why Jason gets a lot of love. I love Jason too. He's a murdering machine, and A lot of good characters. I like the atmosphere. It is on my bucket list. One of these years, I am going to go to that camp. Hopefully, to stay a night there one of these years. Hopefully, when all this pandemic stuff goes away. Hopefully, when it happens. Actually, I don't want to wear a mask for the rest of my life. The beheading's cool. I mean, the idea, like, if you watch that movie, it's almost like you're more scared of Mrs. Voorhees than Jason at times. I don't know. She's just the kills. Tom Savini did an amazing job there with the kills there. So I don't know. A lot of nostalgia for me. I know it's never number one in hardly anybody's rankings, and it's not mine also. But I do love this movie. But I do understand the people that do not enjoy this movie. And then number 9, it's neck and neck with this one. It's just a little bit better, but I think I had one better than this for a while. But number 9 is going to be Friday the 13th Part 2. And then that's where we get introduced to Jason himself, the baghead, copying the Texarkana murder from the town that dreaded sundown. I'm going to do a little shout out to that series a little bit. I loved when they did a sequel to that movie, and I believe it was like about a decade ago, less than a decade, maybe 2013 or something. I don't know, but I really enjoyed that movie. It's really true to the original, but that's where Jason got his look there. Of course, it has one of my favorite final girls. Almost everybody, one of their favorite final girls, Ginny. She does a great job. I like how she's curious. I mean, the thought of putting on Mrs. Voorhees' sweater to try to manipulate Jason is just pure genius. I don't know how anybody in their right mind would think about that, but I guess it would make sense because she said she's a child psychologist, so maybe she got her idea from that. It is very kind of a weird ending, though. I mean, I look at it like this. I'm thinking the end of Part 2, everybody has their conspiracies about that. I think the end of Part 2, I think Paul is still alive because after Jenny hits Jason with the machete, they go out together. But I think everything from that part on is a dream sequence. So like when they get back to the cabin, you see Muffin and you see Jason jump through the window. That's got to be all a dream sequence. That would make sense. And then the next morning, she's on the gurney. Paul's probably around somewhere too. I mean, they never explain it. It's just sloppy writing at the very end, or they're just trying to make the audience guess. But lots of cool kills. Jason doesn't seem very menacing. He does seem very clumsy in that one, with the chair falling, with the pitchfork breaking. Ginny's a savage. She just outsmarts him through all their encounters. And yeah, great movie. Number 8 is Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. And this one has great atmosphere to it. If the biggest fuck up in this movie is Michael Myers' mask. He looks like fucking Data from Star Trek. If Michael had the mask from Part 1 or Part 2, I would, it would be like in my top 3 or 4. I don't know. The mask, it means a lot. You have to hit it on the money with that. And that's the biggest flaw for me in that movie. The atmosphere is great. I love all the stuff in the sheriff's house. Kelly Meeker, I think, is the hottest girl in all the Halloween series. Of course, when she's messing around Brady, and Rachel, great character. Danielle Harris does an amazing job as a child actress. I think she does a great job in that movie. Yeah, they decided to kill off Laurie's character there. Said she got in a car accident. I think they're trying to say, like, maybe, I always thought as a kid, maybe Jimmy from Part 2 was like her dad. Maybe they both had died in the car accident. I don't know. I don't know the facts on that. I thought I've read somewhere that maybe he was her dad. What is some other stuff about Halloween 4? Loomis, I like the scene where they're at the gas station. He has the encounter with Michael. If you notice, like on the back, they had all these Abraham Lincoln pictures in the back. It's kind of like when you go to those old restaurants and they have like celebrities sign autographs. Me and a buddy of mine, we used to laugh and we'd say like as if Abraham Lincoln ate at that gas stop at that restaurant. Like, thanks for the great food, Abe. So I just found that very funny. The end is, it's one of those endings where you never forget it. The idea of Jamie being the next killer just gives you goosebumps. Like the look when they're in the iconic clown outfit, just like Michael, is really spooky. I love it. I like the guys, the vigilantes in town, like when the Michael takes out the whole police station, they all try to hunt Michael down and kill him, and then they kill those guys playing the prank. Well, those guys shouldn't have been goofing around trying to be Michael Myers. That's what they get for one of the guys for getting shot. Ted Hollister. Everybody talks about Ben Tramer getting killed like for no reason. Well, this Ted Hollister too gets killed. It's like, shit, Earl, it's Ted Hollister. And then yeah, Michael's very smart. He takes out the power. He takes out the police force. Does a great job. So yeah, that's enough about Halloween 4. Number 7 is going to be Halloween 2018. Very excited for this movie. I know a lot of Halloween fans were not a big fan of the brother-sister angle, and that's what really made this series come intact. To me, it makes no difference. I think to me it makes more sense of why Michael would be hunting Laurie as if she was his sister, because that's who he killed originally in the beginning, was his other sister. So I had never had any problem with that. It would make more sense if, I don't know why John Carpenter hated that idea either. I don't know. I still don't get it. I love Halloween 2. But to me, they should have kept Halloween 1 and 2 and then done Halloween 2018. That would make a lot more sense of Laurie being this over dramatic or this traumatized over what happened over that one night. So she encountered maybe 10 minutes of her life with Michael and he killed 3 people. And she's traumatized 40 years later. Yeah, I guess so, but it's hard to buy it. And people talking about how iconic of a killer he is. I like how the kids kind of mock that in the beginning, like, oh yeah, like the boyfriend's like, he only killed like 3 people. That's not that big of a deal, you know. Like, I like how they made fun of themselves for that. But Michael's brutal in this. I mean, they talk about, you know, like getting rid of a lot, like the story of not having any of the other stories being involved, but he's nothing like the Michael in the original, if that's all you're going by. Because when he goes into town, he just basically goes from house to house and kills like 5 or 6 people, just bam, 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 like that. Where in the original, he's stalking them. He takes his time with Laurie, takes his time with Annie, and then even with Linda and her boyfriend. You know, he picks his moments when he wants to kill them. So it doesn't gel right with Michael 40 years later. Yeah, they should have added the part 2 with that. And sounds like they're probably going to add some of the hospital scenes in this new one as well. So I don't understand all the hate on Halloween 2. I actually think that's my favorite look of Michael, even though I mean, it's the same mask as 1, but I love Dick Warlock's look in part 2. And we'll get into part 2 a little bit on my entries in a little bit later. So the execution of a lot of the kills and everything in the movie, I thought was great. The story I thought was kind of lacking. It seemed just like they missed out. The Sertan character, when he kills the sheriff, or not the sheriff, but the deputy, and then he puts on Michael's mask, that was I don't know, I was way off on that. I wasn't a huge fan of that. Michael riding in the car without his mask for a little bit, that just seemed fucking weird too. It's like, I guess the Sertan character was just put in there just to explain of what the intentions were. The bathroom scene, I love that though. That, if you see in the background, like before that, he's in the garage, he's punching one of the mechanics while he's getting his suit, and he takes out his teeth, and that's a cool sequence there. The little love triangle at the dance, it's kind of funny. I mean, the girl dressed in the cat suit, she was kind of cute there. I have a feeling they probably will bring her back and her boyfriend in the next one. They might have, like, maybe later that night, maybe those two hook up, and maybe when Michael escapes Laurie's house, maybe he goes, hunts them down, and kills them. But I'm sure they'll get it in the next one. At least the boyfriend will. I don't know if the little girl dressed in the cat suit will come back. the Oscar kill was kind of cool. I like how the flashing of the lights and like the score was outrageous. John Carpenter and his son did an amazing job on the score. I love the song, like when he's chasing Alice, like when he sees Alice for the first time after he kills Oscar. That's a really cool song there. Um, let's see, what else could I say about this movie? The end, it was pretty tense. You never knew where Michael was going to be. Um, I like they kind of reverse everything, like where Allison's in class, like when Laurie was in class. I know PJ Soul's character, I guess, like she was the teacher there. Laurie was looking outside instead of Michael in the original, and then like at the end where Michael goes off the balcony, instead Laurie goes off the balcony and then looks down. Like in the original, Michael's gone. This time Laurie's gone. So I actually kind of laughed when I saw that scene. Thought that was cool. Um, it was a cool idea of Laurie's idea of how she was going to kill Michael, like trapped and then burn him in there. But when you look at that movie and how the next one and the next one after that is going to be, it kind of, I don't know, waters it down a little bit at the end. Like it was almost for nothing. They burned the house down for nothing. We'll see. I don't know. Left about Halloween 2018. Number 6 might also be another unpopular decision. It's probably lower in a lot of other rankings, but God, I love this one. It keeps climbing up my list all the time, and that is Friday 13th, the 2009 version. I saw it twice in the theater. The first 20 minutes is amazing. They like to combine the first 4 Fridays all into one movie, which are some of my favorites. And Derek Mears does an amazing job. A lot of people talk about the characters after the 20 minutes, and I don't mind those characters. I find them kind of comedic. The Trent character, I actually love that character because he plays that douchebag role to a T. I like it how he this like, I'm going to invite all my friends over to my house, but they can't, just to show it off to all you guys, but you guys can't touch anything or do anything. And I don't understand how the girl is with him. Probably, I don't know. She just seems like a good girl. Danielle Panabaker's, or I can't remember her name, but she just runs off with the other guy to go hunt down Jason. That just kind of seems funny or odd there. But then he hooks up with the other girl, and they're playing that shoot the boot or whatever, and the dude drinks out of his own fucking shoe, and he's like, "Oh, you don't even have your socks on." That was pretty funny. And then they have the other guy who's out on the rowboat, who looks like a Matthew McConaughey type ripoff character, and that's pretty funny. He gets shot in the head with an arrow, and then his girlfriend gets killed, with the machete through the head and pulled up. That was cool. I don't know. I actually really enjoyed this one. I guess the biggest gripe would be Jason keeping a girl as a hostage. That's probably the biggest gripe in the whole movie. But it kind of, in a way, makes sense because that picture is kind of like the sweater. So it reminded him of his mother. So maybe he thought it was a young version of his mother, and that's why he kept her around. So that's kind of their explaining of that. I would have loved to see a sequel to that movie. I think it would have been great. Maybe they could have had it in the snow. I know we got like Never Hiked in the Snow, but that movie I think could have had a great sequel to that movie. So it used to be like my number 6th rank, but this one climbed up above the first 3, which is hard to do. I love all 6 of those movies, so they can flip flop around all the time. Number 5 also could come to a surprise, and that's just because I'm not a big fan of him compared to the other 2, and that is the original, A Nightmare on Elm Street, 1984. I do love this movie. This is by far my favorite Nightmare movie in the entire series. The introduction to a great character in Freddy Krueger. He is so creepy, so scary. I do like a lot of these characters too in this movie. A lot of memorable kills. The scene where Tina's kill, is great. The scene where Tina's in the body bag and goes down in the boiler room is very creepy. Heather Langenkamp, amazing job playing that role. And then, of course, the end is kind of goofy where the mom's like a stuffed animal or I don't know, like a blow-up doll or something. I don't know. But it's a great movie. I love it. Freddy's scary in that one. So that's what I like. He's just not very scary in almost any of the other ones. So enough about Nightmare. Now we're to the top 4. This one used to be my favorite of the series. It is now my second favorite of the series. And number 4 is going to be Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives. As a kid, again, that was my very first VHS movie. I love this one. I love like the cinematography in this one. Jason's look. I actually like Jason's look. I mean, the hunter look. I don't understand though why Tommy would try to come bury him up. I guess he's all messed up after what happened to him in 4. I don't know if they're relating to his character in 5 at all in 6. I like the idea they finally have kids in this one, so that was cool. Some of the counselors were not really the greatest character. Sheriff Garris plays a great asshole character in this one. His kill is one of the best, where his back gets broken in half. I do like the court character. He is funny. The whole motorhome scene is pretty hilarious there. He actually plays in another movie that I really enjoy with Summer Camp Nightmare. Probably not a lot of people have heard of that movie, but that one has that one's a really good one too. The end I thought was cool, putting the chain around his neck and putting the rock at the bottom. Yeah, some of the other characters are just not really intriguing there, but I do like Tom Matthews a lot as Tommy, and I'm glad. Not a lot of time, I do root for them in the end to survive. Alice Cooper, of course, the soundtrack, memorable for that. Lots of good things. The paintball thing's kind of fun to watch too. The one guy with the shoots himself, they keep talking about. That's pretty funny. So yeah, Nightmare on Elm Street, or Friday the 13th Part 6, that is my number 4. And now we go to my top 3. And this is my favorite entry of this series. And yes, we were talking about Friday the 13th Part 4, the final chapter. Just recently this year, it finally surpassed Part 6. Part 6 was always my favorite. 4 finally passed it up, but they've always been neck and neck. Everybody talks about it, and everybody is right. The characters are definitely the most likable, I believe, in this series. Ted White does an amazing job playing Jason in this. To me, has the most attractive girl in this series. I love Samantha character, the girl who dies out on the little raft. I know Ted White went to bat for her. She was freezing her ass off in there in like 30-degree weather, naked out there. Her boyfriend was an idiot trying to cheat on her with one of the twins. The twins were hot, but I would have took Sam right off the bat. And Teddy Bear, good old Teddy from Last American Virgin. He should have went and just hooked up with her. I'm sure she probably would have done that for revenge. They could have just swapped girls there. Crispin Glover's dance, classic. Axel's hilarious. I like the montage in the beginning where they do like the little campfire scene where they do the little montage of the first 3 movies. I thought was really cool. I've always was a big fan of that. Tommy Jarvis, great character. Pretty much almost everybody in this movie I enjoyed. Great kills. Savini's back again. It's supposed to be the definitive Friday where he was supposed to die at the end, and of course he didn't. But it is a very popular entry in the series and is definitely one of my favorite slashers of all time, and many of yours as well, and rightfully so, if we're all thinking the same thing. So, all right, now we're into the top 2. And it's neck and neck. To me, it's one entire full movie. I love them. I love them. I love them. They're arguably my favorite horror movies of all time. Number 2 is Halloween 2, the original 1981. Love it. I like the hospital setting. They make it very dark. Michael's mask, I think, looks great. That's why it's right here. I love that. I even have my little Halloween 2 action figure there. I love Dick Warlock playing that character. I think it's great. I know he's little and he gets a lot of heat for that. I know a lot of people like 4 and a lot of other entries better. To me, it goes perfect with number 1. It's just like mashed potatoes and gravy. It just goes together. It's like bacon on a cheeseburger. Michael's more. It doesn't bother me that there's more gory kills in this. That's just what slasher movies were at this time. Friday the 13th kind of upped the ante. I mean, there was a lot of others too. It kind of upped. I mean, earlier ones, movies like Bay of Blood. That's an older horror movie that I'm a big fan of. Uh, Friday 13th 2 ripped off one of their kills. With the double kill, the shish kebab kill. They did that in that movie as well. But chase scene at the end I thought was just as good as the first one. I mean, neck and neck there. Pleasance was amazing. I like how they bring almost the whole cast back as well. The Bud character was funny. Jimmy, yeah, he's kind of creepy, but whatever. Jamie Lee being out, Lori being out for most of the movie, whatever. If you watch one, you got to watch two with it. It's just, I don't know. I can't say anything wrong about this movie. I know it gets a lot of heat. I love the hot tub scene. You get Michael blown up at the end, get shot in the eyes. He just seems unstoppable. He walks through the glass. I mean, at times I like it better even than the original a lot of times. So, and that leads into number one. 1978, Halloween is my number one. And there's a lot of greats before it. It copied a lot, with Psycho. You had Texas Chainsaw Massacre before it. You had Black Christmas before it. You had all the Italian horror movies that came before it for slashers as well. But Michael he's very sneaky. He's the ultimate stalker. When he stalks his victims, I like how he just puts you on edge. The suspense is great. Especially when you get up to the part to where after he kills Linda and Lori goes over there, you're just thinking, where's he at? Where's he at? Then when he creeps out of the shadows and you see his mask, it's perfect. It does kind of drag a little bit, before the action gets going, but that's just building characters. So Carpenter did great. Everybody talks about how much money it was made on. I always watch the TV version though. Now the extra scenes in there, you get the scene of Loomis and they talking about wanting to keep Michael, never letting him get out. You get the scene where he goes into Michael's room and it says sister on the back and his room is all destroyed. Another extra scene was Linda going to Lori's house, trying to get, wearing outfits, thinking like Michael was following her. So I like having those extra scenes. Anything extra you can get out of that movie, I'm all for it. So I don't like when they cut out extra scenes in movies. I always want the unrated or extras. So anyway, that is my rankings of 31 on 31. Thank you again, Cody Leach, very much for giving me your blessing to be able to create this from your guys' concept. I will be doing more in the future as well. Maybe one of these times I can be a guest with you guys. That would be an honor. Guys, I'd like to see your rankings below in your comments section. And mine aren't right. These are just my personal opinions. And yours may be very different. I'd be shocked if there's anybody out there who had my exact rankings. That would be ironic. So please support this page. I'm brand new. This is like my second or third video. And hopefully I can keep improving more videos in the future. Like and subscribe at the bottom. And I want to wish everybody good evening. Big shout out to the Cult Classic Horror Blood Brothers and the Rob, O'Neilio, Carmelo, you as well, my friend. Good night. See you next time.